The year is 270 AD. The streets of Rome smell of smoke and sweat. A soldier's wages, once pure silver, now buy barely a loaf of bread. The empire isn't being conquered by barbarians. It's being eaten alive by its own money. We are told that Rome fell to civil war, to plague, to corruption. Those are symptoms. The disease was financial. The sickness was in the money. But the real collapse? It started in the mint, not the battlefield. Rome didn't just conquer the world. It invented the world's first global reserve currency, and then it destroyed its own creation. This is not just a history lesson. This is an autopsy. We will trace the hidden four-step pattern that all insolvent governments follow. Spend, debase, deny, collapse. It's not history. It's a loop. And Rome was the original. It all begins with a single, perfect coin. When Augustus Caesar forged the Roman Empire, he standardized the denarius, a silver coin nearly 98% pure. It was the bedrock of the Pax Romana, a soldier's pay, a merchant's trade, a citizen's savings, all built on this single, trusted piece of metal. But the empire was expensive. Wars, monuments, and the infamous bread and circuses, the world's first welfare state. In 64 AD, Emperor Nero, needing to rebuild his palace after the Great Fire, faced a choice: tax the people into open revolt or cheat the money. He chose to cheat. He ordered the mints to reduce the silver content from 98% to 90%. He mixed in cheaper copper. The coin looked the same, it felt almost the same, but it was a lie. He had invented the first hidden tax. The state will always choose the invisible tax over the visible one. The next 100 years, under the 5 good emperors like Trajan and Hadrian, the empire was at its absolute peak, a golden age. But Nero's precedent was set. The lie was normalized. Trajan needed to fund his popular wars in Dacia. He couldn't raise taxes, so he just followed Nero's playbook. He diluted the denarius again, down to 85% silver. His successor, Hadrian, diluted it further to 75% to fund his massive building projects. This was the first slow, creeping inflation. Prices for wheat and oil began to tick up, not wildly, but noticeably. The good emperors were celebrated for their generosity, but they were taxing everyone. They were just doing it through debasement. Empires never admit they're broke. They just change the definition of money. By 193 AD, the empire was in a civil war. Septimius Severus, a ruthless general, seized power. He had one core policy, which he gave to his sons: enrich the soldiers and scorn all other men. To buy the army's loyalty, he gave them a massive pay rise. But he had no silver. The mines were running dry. So he industrialized the debasement. He melted down every old pure coin he could find and reminted them at just 50% silver. This was the point of no return. Prices didn't just creep, they exploded. A baker in Antioch watches prices triple in a week. His savings turn to dust. A soldier on the Rhine gets his pay heavier in coins, but lighter in worth. A soldier's raise was worthless within a year, because merchants, who were not stupid, simply doubled their prices. The economy began to shudder. This is when the hoarding began. People hid the old pure coins of Augustus. Only the new bad coins circulated. Bad money always drives out good. And that, right there, is how an empire begins to die. The 50 years that followed are known as the crisis of the 3rd century. It was 50 years of hell. Emperors created new coins, decreeing they were worth 2 denarii, while only containing the silver of 1.5. It was a blatant, state-mandated fraud. The people saw the lie. The system broke. With the money worthless, the only way to get power was with a sword. 26 barracks emperors were assassinated in 50 years. Soldiers, paid in copper slugs, just murdered their generals. Trade collapsed. Why risk sending a shipment of grain across the sea when the coins you'd be paid with would be worthless by the time you got home? The currency was dead. By 270 AD, the silver denarius was 0.5% silver. It was a copper coin given a thin silver wash, a lie you could hold in your hand. A mother in Gaul barters her wedding ring for a single bag of grain. When trust in money dies, the social contract dies with it. The silver didn't vanish. The honesty did. The Emperor Diocletian, a brilliant strongman, saw the chaos and said no more. He would fix the economy through sheer force of will. But he didn't fix the money. He just introduced totalitarian control around the broken money. In 301 AD, he issued the Edict on Maximum Prices, a list, carved in stone, of over 1,000 goods it was illegal to overcharge for. The penalty for selling a loaf of bread for 1 penny too much was death. It was a catastrophe. Merchants simply stopped selling. Farmers stopped bringing grain to market. Black markets erupted. The edict, meant to stop inflation, simply stopped the economy. It was a final, desperate admission that the money was so broken, the only way to make it work was with a soldier's spear at every merchant's throat. Every empire thinks it's smarter than math. The picture should be clear. The silver coin of Augustus, the 50% coin of Severus, the copper slug of Aurelian, the price-controlled nightmare of Diocletian, it is the same pattern. Every single time. It begins with debt. It moves to dilution. It accelerates with a loss of trust. It ends in tyranny and total collapse. They called it dilution. Today, they call it quantitative easing. It is, in plain language, theft. It is the blueprint for how an empire dies. Rome diluted its coins, we dilute our trust. Their coins lost silver, ours lose truth. Now, not every fiat currency dies overnight. The Roman currency took 300 years to fully collapse. But the incentive never changes. Dilute to pay for today, delay to push the cost to tomorrow, deny that there is any problem at all. Preparation isn't paranoia. It's just math. So what did the survivors do? As Rome's currency evaporated, what did the smart families, the ones who made it through the Dark Ages, what did they do? They did not trust the state's promise. They trusted value. They operated on a dual strategy. First, hard assets. They took their worthless, copper slug denarii, and they bought things the state could not print. They bought farms. They bought olive groves. They bought gold and silver, the real metal, not the coins pretending to be it. Second, and more importantly, they invested in hard skills. A hard asset can be seized. A hard skill cannot. The ability to build, to fix, to heal, to grow food. The blacksmith in Gaul who could repair a legion's armor survived because his skill was independent of the currency. The farmer who could grow wheat, their value was real, whether they were paid in pure silver or in chickens. Assets protect your past. Skills protect your future. You must have both. Remember this. Money dies before empires do. Rome's coins turned to copper. Weimar's marks turned to ash. Zimbabwe's trillions turned to dust. The question isn't if money dies, it's whether you notice before it does.
learn from history or relive it. The treasury always kills what the armies defend.